The topic I have chosen is education. I would like to immediately ask my colleagues. I have slightly modernized my report since there were many great speakers, and they raised a number of questions that can be answered very simply. Education, was the education of high quality? It doesn't only depend on money. To be cultured, one needs to be educated. The very word educated is very Ukrainian and etymologically very correct. Raise your hand if any of you present received a gold medal in school. Yes, please tell us, what was your first impression when you held that medal in your hands? Oh, it's some kind of plastic, right? It doesn't have that effect. I tried so hard, didn't I? And you know, are there any present born in 1954? Yes? You will confirm my words that it was the last year when they issued a gold medal, truly of the highest quality gold. A very interesting fact from 1945, when we won. They immediately started issuing a gold medal in school, truly made of the highest quality gold. But by 1954, this was discontinued. The quality of the gold decreased, and today we have what we have. As one of our presidents said, this, let's say, is far from ideal, this gold medal. This can be an allegory, an analogy regarding how changes occur in our education system. Many people have asked how education can impact national security. For a long time, I have been involved in studying issues of economic security. What factors are the most significant to consider an individual, a person, safe, a state, a region, and so on? And interestingly, many of the answers, once again, lie in the realm of the quality of education. In your opinion, what is the purpose of education? Can someone give a very brief answer to this question? Obviously, pardon? The Life Foundation. Okay, that could be. So let's look further. Why do we study? We study in order to largely choose one of these professions. But in reality, these professions are doomed because in literally 5 to 10 years, many of these professions will be eliminated. They will no longer exist. These are all potential unemployed individuals. Obviously, there are a number of future professions, and at the previous TEDx, the speakers talked about these professions, about the astronaut blogger, and about the Reno, designer and gamification, and so on. These are super new professions. But what do you think? Which of the traditional professions will still exist in the future? A common one, and you all know it. Pardon? Yes, that's right, a teacher. There have already been a number of such attempts to replace a person with a robot or some non-living entity for remote learning attempts. For small children, this does not work. Moreover, 1,000 years ago, a rather terrifying experiment was conducted when a king asked for several infants to be brought and forbade anyone from speaking to them in any language. He was curious about what language these children would start speaking. Or perhaps some Romance or Babylonian language would awaken in them. Do you know how this experiment ended? These children died mute. That is, if there is no communication with others, a person cannot develop. In modern times, the Japanese conducted a similar experiment, obviously not on humans, but on cats, and obtained similar results. So, what can we say about teachers and schools? Obviously today, the first level of IQ is considered very important. We know the tests, a series of tasks to determine IQ. But all these wonderful businessmen, inventors, they had serious problems in learning. And they now claim that not only IQ, but also new Things need to be tested and developed. These are LQ and EQ. Who knows what these are? Yes. EQ is what? Emotionality, right? And LQ? No, love. That is, it needs to be developed in schools and higher education institutions, because can you imagine loving people who fight? It's impossible. It's impossible to kill each other when this level is very high. The next thing I want to mention is that Elon Musk made one of his most effective steps regarding development. He took his children out of traditional school. When he found out how his children were being taught, he simply took them out. And on the internet, it is written that he created his own secret school. At least I couldn't find anything about the specifics of this school. But the information is that he created a school for his children and some of his acquaintances where they teach in a new way. I didn't initially intend to create a school, but it was like a certain kind of beacon for me. Okay, I need to think about the market situation. Today, in Kyiv, we have that in private schools. The tuition fee is $15,000 on average. When I heard this amount, I thought it was for the entire duration of the education. But it turns out that it's per year. Moreover, when I visited these institutions, we saw that there is an issue with the fact that the capacity of these schools is exceeded. In other words, there is competition with 20 people per spot, so there is a problem. But when I talked with specialists who teach the natural sciences group, since I went through the entire course, let's say from a young fighter, from teacher to assistant, lecturer, senior lecturer, associate professor, professor at Poznan University, and now I'm returning back to the level of a teacher, I understand that this is a serious problem, and not only in Ukraine. So the same in Poland, the teaching profession is not prestigious. It is one of the lowest paid professions. And so the question arose, well, yes, I have significant experience. I need to create my own school. No. And what needs to be done for this? Obviously, a business plan is what we analyzed the market, saw the situation which shows that there is a demand. But at the same time, I want to share a few secrets regarding the fact that you need to think immediately about what the school should be called. That is, the name is one of the first steps to open this school, and accordingly open directions. What form of organization? I want to say right away. That is, in our school, we explain that, for example, a limited liability company is only liable with its charter capital. You can invest 10,000, 5,000 hryvnias, and that's it. An individual entrepreneur, which is the most popular in Ukraine, but no one explains such simple things to them, that this so-called sole proprietor is liable with all their property, house, car, everything they own. That is, they are unprotected. So, obviously, in this case, the best option is, one of the best options, is a limited liability company or a non-profit organization if you do not plan to earn income. Do not be afraid of licenses. What? That is, licenses in any field are also obtained by people, and there are procedures, and you can honestly obtain a license for any type of activity. The main thing is to move in the right direction. Again, a little dialogue, because you are tired. Please tell me 10 differences between these two photos. Very quickly, a blitz. Yes, please. Hand up. This is how our classes go in school, please. Well, once again, voice from the audience. Color, yes. The differences between these two photos. Color, well, okay, next. Voice from the audience. There are no differences. Second answer, you. Windows, Did you notice that there are no windows on the right side? There's the first one. Yes, please. Voice from the audience. In uniform, the second students. Although on the left, they all look gray too, as if in the same uniform. Okay, second, next, voice from the audience, time. Time, indeed, 100 years difference. That's true, 100 years approximately. This is 92 to 93, and that was 100 years ago. Please, young lady. Voice from the audience, material strength, material strength. You noted that 100 years ago, there was visual aid, but in the Soviet school, this is the 94th year. Such visual aids were not used as often. You. More specifically, voice from the audience. They are sitting there. Yes. You know this story, that a professor or lecturer or teacher should always be standing with the students. And in honor of this, few students know why everyone, the entire class, the whole group, should stand up and greet the lecturer. It's a sign of respect, because they all stand up for 1 second, while the teacher has to stand with them for 90 minutes. Great. And one more thing, the last one. The children pointed this out to me. I didn't know about this difference. Please. The color of the tables, yes. And the children pointed out an interesting thing to me. In the picture on the right, the teacher looks angry. You might hear, maybe they have better eyesight. But obviously, the children notice this because they are drawn to young, smiling people, and so on. The Ministry of Education, the relevant one, is currently trying to create a new Ukrainian school. We see two differences now. Again, yes, a colorful, beautiful school. But you see, I compare it to changing the candy wrapper, right? We can take a bad candy and wrap it in a wrapper. The result will be questionable very quickly. What is the difference between these colorful photos? What is special between, let's say, the modern school design and the previous one, like 100 years ago? Please, voice from the audience. There, the children sit separately. Yes, as if they have separate desks, right? Now, that's indeed a correct trend. We also implement this in the International Innovative School. But look, is there really a point in having separate desks if they are placed so close to each other? If there are 35 children in the class, the point of these single placements is lost. And again, pay attention to the backpack of the girl on the right. This is scoliosis that awaits her after 3 to 4 years of carrying these backpacks. Do you understand? And all these things are like a snowball that needs to be addressed globally. They need to be resolved. And there are very different approaches to these solutions. For example, we suggested using so-called flowers, where it is possible to work in groups of 6 or in pairs. And this should be the number of students in a class, no more than 12 children. Only in this case can the teacher effectively communicate with them. There should not be a class leader appointed for 10 years or 2 years. There should be a constantly changing class leader who every week or every 2 weeks has to prove themselves, because we want to raise leaders so that these children who will graduate from us will be successful. As you, once again, the question, these are two very cool schools. One is in Switzerland, Sanssangeit-Rogen Kinderdorf, Pestalozzi. The other is in Nice, ABS. What do these schools have in common? They have little in common externally, but there is one trait that unites them. One characteristic, it is that they have a large green area where children can freely walk, play, and so on. This should also be considered during the construction and development of schools. Our relevant ministry is currently providing many opportunities for schools to offer elective subjects that we want. Then each teacher can choose what to teach in their class. But let's think about the current situation with teachers, with teacher training. Do you know that the entry score for national pedagogical universities is the lowest? This year, the situation was completely drastic. They asked to add the possibility for these children to enter teacher training with just 100 points. Again, The best graduates from these universities do not go to work, work in schools. They either go to graduate school, move abroad, or start their own business. What should a teacher be like? What should a teacher be like? A teacher, classically, they face such situations. Well, again, we would like to try to bring them back. And hooray! So, what should a teacher be like? We see from above. This is, let's say, a classic situation when we have 40 children in a class, and the quickest way to calm them down is to shout at them. And actually, another option. Why was the idea to create an international innovative school rather than studying at a public school? This is what I visited and listened to, how lessons are conducted. I recommend everyone who has children to place a recorder that activates on sound and listen to what was being discussed, or let's say on the phone, watches, and you will hear how the learning process takes place. It's terrible. It's a huge uproar, and not all children perceive it the same way. And when I walked through the school, one of the public schools, down the corridor, I heard that near every classroom there was very intense shouting from teachers who were calming the children, and so on, and so on, and so on. And I realized that this is yet another problem that needs to be addressed, and perhaps it's not without reason that in the United States, teachers who work in public schools for more than 10 or 20 years are not selected for jury duty because they already have certain psychological issues. So, what should a teacher be like? This question has been seriously addressed. In the United Arab Emirates, and they have created an award similar to the Nobel Prize. $1 million is awarded each year to the best teacher because it is one of those countries that has managed to properly utilize the wealth of its land, oil. And accordingly, they understood that their national security lies in quality education, in the quality training of pupils, students, and so on. And therefore, we need to use and improve our own achievements. Everyone says, let's switch to the Finnish education system. Okay, I have nothing against it. In recent years, they have been making significant progress. But who can remind me of the successes of Finnish education 50 years ago? And Ukrainian education, it had these successes, and Shatalov, who developed excellent notes and demonstrated to the whole world how you can learn in a few lessons what is usually taught in over a quarter or half a year, and Sukhomlinsky and so on. Why is none of this being talked about? Why don't Ukrainians revive and modernize their education? For this, the next small non-slide shows what competencies should be present in school. So once again, it is important to note that an innovative approach needs to be combined with the classical one. It is very important for the organic and comprehensive development of a child to use the opportunities that have already been traditionally established. This is music education. You know, for some reason, it's unclear why. There is an active policy aimed at destroying music schools. And this needs to be either integrated into the traditional school or, let's say, into the school we want our children to attend, or developed in another direction. Why can't we study traditional economic methods in school? Why SWOT, SMART, KCS method? They are so simple and accessible that we can explain to children how to properly conduct data analysis, how to work with fakes, right? Because we know there is a lot of information that needs to be verified. The same methods that existed 50 years ago do not work now. Nowadays, there is no longer an absolutely truthful source of information. A book is truthful information. We can take Russian books and read them, and we will see that there are many distortions. Video materials and films also need to teach children to be multifaceted. And finally, I will give one more task. This is the use of what we have. Please tell me, how many people are currently here on the Maidan? There is the press. It says 1 million people came to the Maidan, and there is a photograph. 10,000 people came to the Maidan. Please analyze and quickly give an answer in 30 seconds. What is your opinion approximately? How many people are depicted here now? Please, the last one. 500. Next. 1,500, yes. And the third version. A few hundred. No, well, let's not talk about the quality of the photograph. That is, let's assume this is a genuine photograph. And that's how many people there are. The question is, how many do you think there are? So we have hundreds. We have 1,000, and we finish. So the correct answer lies in a very simple method that we learned about distribution, about dividing a rectangle into sections. That is, we now divide this large rectangle into small squares. And in each square, we can approximately count that there are about 10 to 20 people. So the overall answer, considering its area, yes, here we get 60 squares, we have 600, or 1,200. That is, it's neither 1,000 nor 10,000, and so on. This is an example that shows that traditional methods of studying mathematics and so on can be used, but for analyzing information. And what are the general conclusions? That modern education should not be narrowly specialized. What does the term cross-disciplinary specialization mean? This means that we don't have a purely mathematical school, nor a school for advanced language studies, because everything is needed. Logic, physical education, and so on. In conclusion, I invite everyone to join this startup in creating a new, truly systemic education, because we need excellent notaries who will teach high school students how to file lawsuits. We need excellent psychologists who will explain NLP and how it influences people. And finally, I invite everyone to unite and create a new Ukrainian school, not just in appearance, but with quality content. Thank you for your attention.